on Invicta number 5. How you doing, Jessamyn?
I'm doing fantastic. It's fight week. I'm ready.
I was just gonna say it's fight week, and you're from Kentucky originally. Is that where you are right now?
Yes, sir.
What part of Kentucky?
Richmond, Kentucky. It's like right in the middle of the state, so it's basically central Kentucky.
Okay. Who do you train with out there?
His name's Scott Elliott, and it's at the AFS Academy.
Oh.
He's had a school for about 20 years now.
Yeah.
So, and I've been training there about 7.5 of those years.
Okay. Your record is 2-0, and Miriam Nakamoto's record is 1-0. Let's break down Miriam real quick. From your watching tapes on her, there's not that much film. You've got basically one fight to look at and some amateur fights. What do you see as her style, and how do you break her down?
Well, she is a extremely experienced Muay Thai fighter. I think she's like 15-0 as a Muay Thai fighter. So I know that she's got a really strong striking background. And as far as her one MMA fight goes, I've never seen it. So I have no idea. Other than seeing like write-ups and stuff on how the fight went, I have no idea. And it went about like what I would have assumed it would have went, which is a lot of clinch, a lot of knees, and a TKO via knees. So I know that her game plan is obviously going to be to play up to her strength, which is striking. Mm-hmm. And she's a taller fighter. I think she's like 5'9", but not as tall as me. So I know that I kind of present some unique problems. And I kind of always tell everybody that I consider myself a pretty well-rounded fighter. And while she may have a huge advantage in striking, I think that I have a pretty huge advantage in overall MMA experience as well as grappling experience, which is a huge part of the game. So it's going to be pretty interesting. I don't think it's going to be like striker versus grappler necessarily, because I think I'm a pretty decent striker as well. I've had some amateur Muay Thai fights, but I just think that it's going to be more like striker versus well-rounded fighter.
Well, how tall? You said you're taller than 5'9". How tall are you?
5'11".
Oh wow, that's very tall, especially for 135. That's a very tall girl.
Yes.
Have you, when you're competing against the other women at 135, do you find yourself being extremely much taller than everybody else that you're competing against?
Yes. Usually I've got like 5 or 6 inches at least on whoever I'm fighting, and it's a huge advantage, not just on the feet but on the ground as well. Like if you know how to use it on the ground, those long limbs can cause a lot of problems.
Describe your style to somebody at home that's never seen you fight ever before. There's a lot of people now just getting on. I'm one of them. They're just getting on board with women's MMA. So a lot of the women we don't know, we haven't seen before, we're not sure what we're looking at. So describe your style to the people at home that haven't seen you fight before.
I consider myself an aggressive fighter. I like to go out and immediately engage. I like to get my hands on my opponents. I am extremely comfortable with striking, but I don't like to get into brawls. I like to get in close. I like to get into the ground, whether it's in the clinch for the knees and elbows and stuff like that. But I also love jiu-jitsu. I love to get it on the ground and get in a dominant position. If I can, I always want to get in the most dominant position that I can to either get a TKO with strikes or get a submission of some sort. If I have to, I'm more than happy to strike, and I love Muay Thai and all of the elements that go along with that. But I just like to hunt for the finish any way that I can, and usually it's by submission. That's why most of my wins are by submission. Everybody always pegged me as a Muay Thai fighter for a long, long time because I came into MMA with amateur Muay Thai experience, and I was really tall. So they are always like, oh, she's a striker, she's a striker, she's a striker. And then I kept winning by submission. And it's only just now kind of started to change where people are viewing me more as a submission fighter. So I don't like to say, I don't want to say that I don't like to strike because I do. I love it. But I want to get to where I have every advantage and they have a very small chance of doing anything. So, and that's usually on the ground where I can control it. So I want to get my hands on people and just cause them misery, make them suffer as much as possible during the fight.
Who are your main training partners for this one? Because Miriam brings in a pretty unique style for you. Did you bring anybody in specifically to help mimic her style to get prepared for her?
I actually traveled quite a bit during this camp. I started off the camp by going up to train with Caitlin Young, who's a decently tall striker, all on her own, and spent a week up there. And then I think it was a couple weeks ago, I went to LA and I got to train at Rhonda Rousey's gym with her and her friend Marina Shafir.
Yep.
And then I also spent the week out there training with Eddie Bravo.
Nice.
So I got to do some pretty decent traveling, and we went up to Denver last week. My best friend, who I spend the majority of the time here training with, had a fight in Denver, and so while we were out there, we got some training in at the elevation, and it was not like any big huge names or anything, but it was just a good little change up with the elevation and everything. So I've had some traveling and some pretty good experience, but in my own gym, we've just found, I've got a guy in the gym who's basically like a carbon copy of me. He's a 135-pound fighter, same height, same style, but he loves the clinch, the knees, and everything. So I've had him to kind of work with to simulate that strength in the clinch, and working against the things that I think she's going to bring to the fight. So it should be pretty interesting. I feel extremely well prepared, and my cardio is like through the roof. I think the trip to Denver sent my cardio just off the charts.
Where'd you train while you were in Denver?
Fusebox MMA.
Yeah, know it well. Yeah, that's it's Denver. Like I said, I just came back from Denver last night, and it's a unique feeling up there the first time you get out of the car and get off the plane and try to get your first workout in. That first, I'm gonna go run 5 miles and just kind of get the joints loose, whatever. And about 2 miles into it, you're like, I can't lift my arms up, and my head doesn't stay on my neck anymore. I can't feel my feet. What do I do? And the altitude up there is completely different if you're not used to it. You have to it takes you a minute to get used to it. You got to spend some time up there, and if you spend a couple days up there training, then come back down, it'll definitely put a shot into your cardio system.
Oh yeah, and that was like 2 weeks ago, so I'm still kind of riding on it ever since. It's been awesome.
That's really good. You got to travel a lot. Do you prefer to travel for your training camps, or do you prefer to stay at home?
This is the first time that I've traveled this much. Normally I'll have like one training trip or something in between, and I usually don't travel as much during the actual fight camp. But this time it kind of worked out that I had the opportunities, and I'm like, I can't pass up on it, and I think it's actually been better for me. And from now on, as much as I can, I'm going to be trying to do stuff like that. My coach is super open-minded. He's always about like, you need to go and get, different bodies, different teaching methods, different everything, because it keeps you on your toes, it keeps you fresh. And then, he goes with me. Like when we went to LA, he went with me. So everything that we learned there, we brought back to our gym. Wow. That we can drill and we can train and we can, make the most of it. So it helps him and it helps me, and it kind of brings up the whole level of our team that we've got going on. So it's pretty cool, and it works out. So from now on, I'm going to definitely be doing it as much as I can.
Wow, Jen, that's great. It's actually most people don't look at it that positively as they're traveling around, but you did. That's good. You got to pull that off. How was it training with Rhonda?
Oh, awesome. They were so welcoming and just open, and it was like such a good environment. And her coach is so knowledgeable, and he didn't act weird at all with me. He was totally comfortable. Like, all right, no problem, cool, come on in. And it's like, if you want to train hard, then that's great. We'll train hard. And he was super happy about it. And Rhonda was super friendly and helpful, and it was just awesome. I mean, I don't want to say I was shocked, because I have stayed in touch with Rhonda. We fought on the same card as amateurs once, and we kind of stayed in touch. So I knew that she's always a very cool person with me. But it was awesome to actually kind of go to her gym and you kind of just get treated like a regular person. It's like, hey, awesome, you're here to train, let's do it. And it was no big deal. So it was great. And her friend Marina actually had a fight a week and a half later, and she needed somebody to get some hard sparring in with. So I was like, I'll do it. I'm here. Good. Let's go. So that was fun, and she fights at 145. So that's another kind of a plus for me, is to get to work with someone that, fights in a heavier weight division. So it was just awesome all around how welcoming they were. Yeah, that's cool. I've always heard, excuse me, I've only heard good things about Rhonda. Never has anyone ever said anything bad about her. They always say how good she is and how much fun she is to work with. Totally.
Well, is full-time fighting, is that all you do now, or do you have another job besides fighting?
All I do as far as other work goes is I work in the gym, whether it's teaching or training or personal training type stuff in the gym, or teaching private lessons. So everything that I do to make money is kind of associated with the gym already. I do teach at a preschool. I teach Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu at a preschool.
Really?
Which is kind of awesome. Yes. They offered it, when their semester started. It's like 4 and 5 year olds, and they're adorable. So once a week I'll go in and I teach at a preschool. So that's as close as I've got to a regular job right now, but it's awesome. So
how long is the class?
They're adorable. They do 45 minutes.
Wow.
And I've got about 70 of them all together. I have like 6 different classes that come through. So it's really actually pretty neat because I'm like, man, I can't believe that this actually exists for kids that young. So it's kind of cool to be like the teacher for that because it's just crazy how much things are changing. Like this is a preschool, and they're teaching them Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and how cool is that?
Wow, that's tremendous. That I can't say enough about how good that would be. I wish that when I was 5 or 6, that I would have been thrown into something like that myself. It was
exactly.
That's great. Well, good luck this next week here in Kansas City against Miriam Nakamoto. It's Jen, it's been a pleasure. I'm finally glad I got to interview you. I definitely
appreciate it.
Feel like you're one of the girls that people need to watch because of I do find you really aggressive. I do find your style fits very, very well for TV, where people at home that haven't seen fights before are gonna